Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So far we have learned how to identify proportions and to solve proportions. Next, we're going to learn how to write a proportion. To write a proportion, you set one ratio equal to another ratio. Melissa can buy 4 comic books for $48. Write a proportion that gives the cost Y buying 6 comic books. So we know that she can buy 4 books for $48. So I write 4 books over $48. We know she wants to buy 6 books. Notice my numerators are both books, and notice I'm labeling them. My denominators now have to have the same units. So $48 go across from Y dollars. I don't know how many dollars yet. The left side and the right side must be set up the same way. Books over dollars, books over dollars. Or we can set up books over books and dollars over dollars. So our 4 books go with $48 and our 6 books now go with Y dollars. If I want to solve these and figure out how much 6 books will cost me, I would cross multiply the numbers that are diagonally across from each other. So I would take my calculator and I would do 48 times 6, which equals 288. And then I would take the 288 and I divide it by the number that's diagonally across from the variable, which is 4. And 288 divided by 4 gives me $72. So I know that 6 books will cost me $72. Okay. You could also have kept it the original way. This first could have looked here. Notice that if 4 books are $48, right away I'm thinking I could simplify that fraction. I know that 1 book would equal $12, and then I could just multiply 12 times 6. So there are a lot of ways to solve these proportions, but you mostly have to get the written part down correctly in order to solve them. So let's look at the first word problem. It says that you spend 100 minutes in 2 classes. Write a proportion that gives the number M of minutes you spend in 3 classes. So we've got 100 minutes in 2 classes. So I'm going to write 100 over 2. I'm going to label this minutes. I'm going to label this C for classes. Hopefully you can see. The writing on the iPad's not that great. Then I'm going to set that equal to M minutes. We don't know the number of minutes, so I'm going to call it M over 3 classes. Then I'm going to cross multiply. 3 times 100 is 3. I'm going to divide that, it's 300, sorry. I'm going to divide that by 2, and 300 divided by 2 is 150 minutes. So the number of minutes that I would spend in 3 classes would be 150 minutes. And you should label your answers. Number 2. A school requires 2 teachers for every 15 students. So as soon as I read that, I'm going to start out by writing 2 teachers, I'll put a little T up here, to 15 students, S. That looks like an S. It's an S. 15 students. Equals, I know I'm going to make a proportion. Write a proportion that gives the number of teachers needed for 105 students. So here I have 15 students. Here I have 105 students. And I don't know the number of teachers. So what am I going to do? I am again going to cross multiply. 2 times 105, I would just use my calculator if I need to, is 210. And then I would divide that number by the 15 down here, divided by 15 equals 14. So the number of teachers would equal 14. And finally, the third problem. You can buy 3 notebooks for $18. So I'm going to put 3 over 18. 3 is my notebooks, 18 is the dollar amount. Okay, write a proportion that gives the cost, Y, of buying 7 notebooks. Since we know the number of notebooks, I'm going to put it on top across from the notebooks. And I'm missing Y, which is the cost. So I'm going to cross multiply again. 7 times 18, use my calculator, makes my life easier, is 126. Then I'm going to divide 126 by 3, and I get 42. And since I'm missing the dollar amount, Y equals $42.